We cannot hear you.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. So we are looking at John's Portraits of Christ, and tonight we're looking at John chapter 11, Jesus as the Prince of Light. So John tells us, I'm sorry, we need to do a Bible Bowl first. So Bible Bowl question number 1, when Lazarus was sick, how long before he went to Lazarus? When Lazarus was sick, how long before Jesus went to Lazarus? B, 2 days. Yep. According to John 11:6. When Jesus wanted to go to Lazarus, why were his disciples concerned? According to John 11:8. C, the Jews had recently tried to stone Jesus. Number 3, why should a man not walk in the night? All of the above. According to 11:9 and 10, says he will stumble, he has no light in him, and he does not see the light of this world. Okay, number 4, what other name was Thomas called? And
Twin.
twin, A and C. He's called the twin and he's called Didymus. Oh man. Fill in the blanks. When Jesus went to Lazarus, what did Thomas say to the rest of the disciples? 11:16.
We die.
Yep. Let us also go that we can die with him. It's interesting that he's always called the doubter, but I just think that's such a powerful statement he makes there. Yeah.
The answer to number 1 again is
2 days. He waited and then left after 2 days is what the 11:6 says. Is that correct?
4 days.
I think
the
that
time it took
the
to
wording is
travel.
real limit mine.
Okay.
However you say it's fine with me.
Okay, I think it took him 4 days to get there. He didn't leave for 2 days. That's what 11:6 says. So that's what I was going by.
It's that when I had 4 days.
Yeah. I think the key is he went. How long before he went?
So you're going on 2 days. Then
I'm just going by what 11:6 said,
Okay.
that he left after waiting 2 days.
On number 4, mine doesn't say anything about twin in my Bible.
Okay, it may be different translations then, so that's fine. It's just, he's known as the twin and he's known as Didymus. You can say you got it right. All right. 6, how did Jesus react when he saw Mary and the Jews weeping? D, all of the above. He was deeply moved in spirit. He was greatly troubled and he wept, all according to John 11:33-35. What did the Jews who saw Jesus raise Lazarus do? From John 11:45 and 46. A and C. They believed in Jesus and they reported what Jesus had done to the Pharisees. So some believed, some went and reported it. What did the chief priests and Pharisees say would happen if Jesus continued performing miraculous signs? All of the above. Says Romans would take away their place and nation, and that everyone would believe in him. After raising Lazarus, what did Jesus no longer do? All of the above. I didn't word it right for when to Ephraim because he went there, but it's not what he no longer did. So I realized I had worded that wrong after the fact. So he no longer went to the region near the wilderness, and he no longer walked openly among the Jews. 10, true or false? The chief priests and Pharisees ordered anyone who knew where Jesus was to report it so they might arrest him. True or false? True. All right. How'd y'all do? Besides the trick question. Y'all do all right? Did you do all right? Did you beat Amy at least? All right. So as we keep saying each week, which I just wanted to be highlighted in your mind, John wrote this so we will believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing we'll have life in his name. So we're talking about Jesus as the Prince of Life. And so I want to ask you today, so you see all of them that we've gone through so far. I'm not going to keep reading through those, but you have the form if you want it. What does it mean for you that Jesus is a Prince of Life? What does John want us to get from the concept of Jesus being the ruler over life and death?
Without him, there would be nothing. We
Yeah.
don't have anything.
And according to verse 31, without him, we won't have life in his name. But he truly is the ruler over life and death. He shows as the Prince of Life. But what else? Anything else y'all think we receive by seeing him as that?
He gives us a more abundant life.
Yeah.
This lifetime.
100%. Well, at least he should. I've heard several lessons about it. If we have abundant life, why do we look the way we look? Why do we let the things bother us that bother us if we truly have accepted and lived that abundant life?
Looking in the right direction.
Absolutely. We are looking in the wrong direction when we don't experience and feel that abundant life. Anything else about what it means that he's the Prince of Life?
He was the Prince of Peace as well.
Yeah. Yep.
He was the Prince of Peace.
Yep. Anybody else? Yeah.
We have an assured hope.
We have an assured hope. Yeah. Yeah. And just think of the power that someone has that controls life and death. I mean, that kind of power, nothing else on this world can touch. And truly, he came as the Prince of Life, John presents throughout this chapter. And the Pharisees didn't want to accept it at all.
Yeah.
I have to share something that happened in our new converts class. So he raises Lazarus from the dead, and it says that the Pharisees from then on plotted to do what?
Well, they first stoned him, but later they wanted to take care of somebody else.
That's
Yeah.
exactly. So later they said, well, let's also kill Lazarus then. And so I think it was Sidney said, what, is it going to be whack-a-mole? That he raises him from the dead, they kill him. He raises him from the dead, they kill him. And so,
They move on to all believers.
yeah. And when that was said, Race Lynn said, oh, it's Whack-a-Lazarus. So I can't get that Whack-a-Lazarus out of my head. Just the concept of, you don't get it. He rules life and death. What are you going to accomplish if you kill him again? He just showed death has no standing when Jesus has that power. But they didn't comprehend it. They didn't want to. Okay, so we're going to look at Jesus as the Prince of Life. I believe that there are three specific things we can learn about Jesus from John's text. There's so many things that encompass him being the Prince of Life. But the first, in this text, it shows that Jesus is compassionate as the Prince of Life. He was moved in spirit. He had great anguish, and he wept at the emotions of others before he did this miracle. And to me, having someone with that kind of power, but also having compassion, is incredible. That means no matter what struggle we're going through, he's got it if we just give it to him. I can't remember, honestly, if I said this before. It's in a song that I listen to when I'm walking or when I'm in the morning. I have a playlist I listen to, so it's in both. But it's talking about, we say we're giving everything to God, and that gives us peace. No, he says there's nothing I'm going to give you that you can't handle, and that gives us peace. But also it can be frustration because when we're going through struggles, it's just like, wait, you said you wouldn't give me anything I can't handle. And the person says, the thing we forget is that we can't handle anything without Jesus.
Yeah.
So if we think, okay, he's not going to give me more than I can handle, the only way we can handle some things is with Jesus. Holding us, showing his compassion, giving us strength to be able to handle it. So I've been encouraged by that concept because I've had that in my head. Oh man, things are so difficult. You said you wouldn't give me more than I could handle. I don't want to handle this much. But it's like Paul when he said, I prayed 3 times that you would remove this thorn, but I realize I have this thorn because of your grace, because it's only when I realize when I'm weak, that's when I'm strong, because you're there giving me that strength. I can't handle this thorn on my own. So just something to think about when it comes to his seeing what we're really going through and having compassion. Let's look at John chapter 11, 32 to 36. This is when Jesus is confronted by Mary. So someone want to read 11, 32 through 36? All right.
And the Bible reads, Now when Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. And he said, Where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. So the Jews said, See how he loved him? Did you say 36?
That's good. Thank you. So he is moved in spirit. He's greatly distressed and he weeps. He broke down and cried. This is the only instance we find this about Jesus, other than we had great compassion on the crowds. But the fact that he wept here, why do you think he wept?
Sad.
He was saddened. Okay.
His humanity.
His humanity came out. You think he wept for Lazarus? I think he wept for the people that were sorrowful, that were struggling. For Mary and Martha, seeing their grief moved him. Because I don't think he ever questioned that he had the power to raise Lazarus. But I think just the fact that they were so greatly distressed moved him with compassion.
He stated earlier to his disciples that he was going to show
Yeah.
power.
Yeah. So just in regards to why he wept, some teach that he wept because he saw the pain the family and friends of Lazarus were in. So I do think that's one aspect. Jesus cared about people. You know, we can learn a lot from what Jesus did here. He shared the grief of those around Lazarus that they were experiencing. The Bible reminds us that we too are to share the grief and pain of one another. In God's word, we're taught that the church is the body of Christ. So when one is hurting, what are the rest of us doing? We're hurting the way Jesus was. So 1 Corinthians 12:26, if one part suffers, every part suffers with it. If one part is honored, every part rejoices with it. And that's a concern I have for the church, is we are not as close as we could be when it comes to this situation. We distance ourselves to the point that we aren't showing that type of compassion. One is we don't know what others are going through because of the amount of time we spend together, just the attitude we have when we spend together is just something I think we should reflect on. One of the things that we remember most about pain and suffering is where our friends and family were when we were going through that. Some believe that he was weeping because of the pain the family and friends were in. I definitely think that's part of it. But then some also believe because he was weeping because of the effects of sin. Sin was what causes death. Sin is what alienates every one of us from Jesus. I mean, from God. And so he is anguished by our suffering and sin to the point that he was willing to give his life. And so I just think that's one aspect I hadn't previously thought of until I was looking at commentaries on this. And I just thought that was intriguing that yes, Jesus is saddened when he sees people suffering from the effects of Satan, the sin of this world. He was so moved by it that he sacrificed his life. It's so easy to take sin for granted and think it's not that big a deal. But it should grieve every one of us. We get away with this here and that there, and we begin to think, we can pretty much do whatever we want without consequences, forgetting that there's a great day coming. What happens is we forget the consequences of sin. When we forget the consequences of sin, number one consequence of sin is death. Death came in the world because sin entered the world with Adam and Eve. The Bible tells us in Romans 6:23, the wages of sin are what? Death. Why was Lazarus dead? Because sin entered the world. We all die because of sin. Why do people die today? Because sin entered the world. Why are there people suffering every day? Because of sin. But I think we look at, okay, that person committed adultery, they're in sin. And we don't think about the impact sin has on all of humanity for the last 10, 15,000 years. It's huge, the amount of impact sin has. And Jesus was the first-hand witness of that from the very beginning. Sin is serious business. So serious that every one of us feel its sting. What is the sting that we feel? Death. So I do believe to an extent Jesus was impacted by the sin in the world as he weeps here, because it impacted everything he did. He was moved by compassion to do something. And what did he do? He showed his power over death by raising Lazarus from the dead. Another valuable lesson from all this is compassion without action is useless. How many of you felt sorry for somebody? Did you feeling sorry for him help? It doesn't help. Only when we act on that sorrow, on that compassion. When we take action and show someone we care, and that's what Jesus did here. He took action, the only one who could take that action. So let's look at what James 2:14-17 says. James 2:14-17. What good is it, my brothers, if a man claims to have faith, but has no deeds or action, as some translations say? Can such faith save him? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes or daily food. If one of you says to him, go, I wish you well, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about his physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. So I have a confession to make a little bit. I had a meeting with a homeless kid yesterday, and we had a meeting to talk about all the ways we can help him. And we spent this hour talking, and he finally got fed up and started yelling and hollering and throwing a huge fit about it. But in the meeting, he said, I'm filthy, I stink, I'm so sick of sleeping in the woods every night. And we're like, yeah, I'm so sorry you're in that situation. And then we went through this whole hour. And then one of the people on the meeting said, Don, don't you have a shower in your office that maybe he could use? And I was like, oh, yeah. And I mean, I felt sorry for him for the whole hour, but I never thought, okay, what can I do about this immediate need? It just went out of my head. And when that person said that, I thought, oh, Mike's feeling sorry, because I had gone over this lesson the night before. And I thought, oh, my feeling sorry for him this hour hadn't done anything to help him. I mean, I was brainstorming on what we could do to get him housing, that kind of stuff. But sure enough, I got him a change of clothes, or I had other staff get a change of clothes, get a towel, get cleaning supplies. And I went in and let him take a shower. And then I got mad at him because he took a 45-minute shower and I was late for another meeting. And then last night I was venting to Cindy. And then after she went to bed, I was thinking, Don, you're doing it again. You got so wrapped up in, I have another meeting. I have to get to that. That's so important. I don't want to disrespect those people by being late. And this kid was so happy having 45 minutes to just sit under water and soap and shampoo and clean. And so after he came out, I was livid that I told him I only had 20 minutes to take a shower. Why did he take 45? And you know how I am. I just was like, no, I'm time oriented. And I did not live out faith in action by my attitude. And so I was reprimanding myself, as again, last night I was going over this lesson and I was thinking about how I handled that situation. And he was just so happy he got to take a shower. That was his immediate need. That's what gave him the most comfort and relief. Not our meeting, but him being able to have that. And I wanted you to think about feeling sorry for somebody is not going to help them to the extent you taking action will help them. Whether it's a hug, whether it's a card of encouragement, whether it's come on over, let's sit down at our house and talk and I'll feed you a meal. I think we need to take action.
Don,
Yes.
I think it's easy to talk about these things, but it's so hard. I live right downtown.
Mm-hmm.
I live within a block of the food bank, homeless community.
Mhm.
People are out in the middle of the street when I'm driving, even to class here tonight, and right in the middle of the road, turning circles and so forth.
Yeah.
And I've actually come up to homeless people and given them $1 and told them to please not buy cigarettes with it.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's real hard for me. It's really hard for me to try and draw that fine line as to how I can help this person.
Yeah.
Very hard.
You know, one thing-
You had a feel for this person. You talked to them long enough to where you had a feeling that I could do real good here.
So
you know?
I want to say one thing that someone said to me not that long ago is we were like, well, what can we really do with the homeless? And the person said, why don't we say, can I pray for you?
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
that can be the simplest. It takes a few seconds to say that, and it can really open up their needs, that someone genuinely cares if they want to pray for me. You can also get them a drink somewhere, just something to show action, a healthy drink, not an unhealthy drink. So can we advance one slide, Gary? Can we advance? It won't seem to. All right. One more. So Jesus, as the Prince of Life, is in control. He was always in control, this whole situation with Lazarus. And the crowd didn't understand it. Mary and Martha didn't understand that. They thought, oh, well, if only. And I can just picture Jesus thinking, you don't know me. I was never out of control. I had the situation the whole time. But in their humanity, they struggled with that. So when things are their worst in life, it's easy to wonder who's in control, who's really got control of this. Sometimes we try to take the reins and keep control. But even when we're unable to do that, I've yet to meet a person, even John Paul, who could completely control everything happening in their life. None of us can. I believe the account of Jesus raising Lazarus from the grave is one of the best in the Bible to show us Jesus, the Prince of Life, is in control of everything. Notice verse 4. When he heard this, Jesus had said to his disciples, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." From the very beginning, and the disciples were like, well, wait, he's dying. How is this not going to lead to death? And then when Lazarus died, was Jesus still in control? Notice 11 through 15. After he said this, he went to tell them, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I'm going there to wake him up." And so what did they say? We know they were worried about, you can't go back there. They tried to stone you last time you were there. And then Thomas, we'll go with him so we can die too. That was what they all thought was going to happen. So they didn't want him to come if he's only asleep. They said, "Lord, if he sleeps, he's going to get better." And Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant normal or natural sleep. So then he plainly told them, "Lazarus is dead. And for your sake, I'm glad I was not there, so you may believe. Let us now go to him." So he was always in control. But those who only saw the immediate situation could not comprehend that. And I think that's almost us in every situation we face. We forget that he's in control. When Jesus was met by Martha, he was in control. Notice 23 to 26. "Lord," Martha said to him, "if you had been here, my brother would not have died." I don't think she said that calmly. I think she was very emotional as she said that. But she then said an incredible verse, "I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." And she answered, "I know he'll rise again in the resurrection on the last day." So she shows again her faith, but her miscomprehension of the power of God. But Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies. And whoever lives and believes in me will never again die. Do you believe this?" Aren't we looking for someone to be in control? I think I am all the time. And so often I try to take the reins myself. When, as the Prince of Life, we need to know Jesus is always in control. There's nothing this world or Satan or anybody else is going to do to surprise Jesus. Knowing he's in control helps us to let go. But sometimes we're like the monkey who won't let go. So in Africa, they've come up with a unique way to trap a monkey. They put food in the bottom of a bottle. And you see the hole in the top is big enough that the monkey can stick his hand and arm through. But then he grabs what's in there, and the monkey can't comprehend that he has to let it go to get his hand out. So then he's trapped in that. And we do the same thing when we think we have to take care of everything going on in our life, when we are not the ones in control. And sometimes we've just got to let go, or the things of this world trap us. We have to let go and let God. We've got to trust. So there's so many different scriptures I looked at when it comes to trust, but I just want to look for a minute at Matthew 6. Jesus goes on to say throughout this whole thing, do not worry. In Matthew 6, 25 through 34. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but all of it is, I'm in control, don't worry. Yep, that's the whole concept of this long passage he preaches in the sermon. But one last lesson is Jesus as a Prince of Life shows us that he is Christ. He is Lord. He is the one that was prophesied. Notice John 11, 25 and 26. He says, I am the resurrection, and the life. He who believes in me will live, even if he dies. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die. He is the only one who can make that statement. As we said last week, he's the only one who's the door to the sheep pen. He's the only way we have eternal life. He is in control. And if we give him our eternity, how come we can't give him our today and tomorrow? You know what I mean by that? We say we trust him and we hope in an eternity in heaven with God, but the struggles we go through in this life, we keep agonizing over. When he's saying, don't worry, don't agonize over anything, I'm in control. And the ultimate thing we'll all face and so many fear is death. So let's look at 1 Corinthians 15, 54 to 57, just to close. Someone want to read that? 1 Corinthians 15, 54 to 57.
I'll read them.
Okay.
And the Bible reads, when the perishable puts on the imperishable and the mortal puts on immortality, then shall come to pass a saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God, who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast and immovable, always abounding in the word of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain.
Yes.
Somebody had said that it was a good thing that when Jesus had them roll the stone away and said in a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. It's a good thing he named him.
Yeah, that's true. I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Just think of all the people who could have come out because he is the ruler over death. He is the Prince of Life. But I want to ask, is he the Prince of your life? Because if he's the Prince of your life now, he'll be the Prince of your death. If you trust in him now, you have nothing to fear when death comes, because he said, though you die physically, you don't die spiritually. So when we do memorial services, when we think about those that we love that die, this is such a powerful concept. There's no reason to fear death, ever. There's no reason to fear anything when you think of who's in control. We may not like circumstances. I don't like cancer. I don't like all the lives that it's negatively impacted. I don't like sin and all the lives that it's negatively impacted. But God is and has always been in control. And though we're going through struggles, we can make it through those struggles when we let him share our burden, when we truly trust him and give it to him. That's what I see as him as the Prince of Life. That if he is the Prince of our life, then we comprehend he's there to help us in every struggle, in every difficulty, in every sin we face, in every health issue we face, and every loss of loved one we face. So John has said, everything I'm writing is so you will see that Jesus Christ, so you'll believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and that by believing, you'll have life in his name. And him as the Prince of Life shows us where we should put our trust. Jesus is and will always be the Prince of Life. He knows how horrible the conditions of sin are. In his compassion and love, he chose to leave the comforts of heaven, live as a man, and die as a sinner for us, or die bearing our sins for us, so we wouldn't have to die spiritually. And when he resurrected from the grave, he showed his ultimate power over death for all time. And this I read in a commentary that just really hit me. We see him standing outside of Lazarus' tomb saying, Lazarus, come out. But do you see him standing outside the tomb of your life saying, come out? I'm here to give you the same life I gave Lazarus. That's what he means to have abundant life. That's to trust Jesus like that. To realize he is in complete control. All right. That's all I have for tonight. Next week, we will be looking at John 12. So I encourage you to